Welcome to Egads. English goes awesome with drama and series. Here, learning English is as exciting as watching your favorite movies. We bring you thrilling movie recaps with subtitles, so you can improve your English while enjoying every twist, turn, and plot reveal. Grab your popcorn, sharpen your listening skills, and let's dive into the story.
It was early morning when a guy named Nathan was getting ready for work. He worked as an assistant manager at a bank, and let's just say, enthusiasm wasn't exactly his middle name. While the head manager was delivering a rousing, overly dramatic motivational speech to the staff like he was auditioning for a TED Talk, Nathan's attention was nowhere near the message. Nope, his eyes were locked onto an intern named Sherry. His expression screamed, "I'm in love and I have no idea how to deal with it." Let's be honest. Nathan looked like a teenage boy trying to do calculus while staring at his crush. Later that day, a man named Earl showed up at Nathan's office. Earl had recently lost his wife and was unable to make his bank installment payments. Nathan, trying to be kind, gave him more time and said, "It must have been hard losing your life partner after 50 years. To which Earl replied, "Time doesn't matter. If I had lost her on the first day, I would have felt the same pain." Nathan had no response to that level of raw heartbreak and emotional wisdom because, let's face it, Nathan could barely handle spilled coffee, let alone emotional monsoons. A little while later, Nathan was trying to make himself a cup of coffee when Sherry suddenly called him from behind. He got startled, flinched, and managed to pour piping hot coffee all over his own hand. Because why just make coffee when you can also cosplay as a hot dog at a ballpark? Sherry started apologizing profusely, but Nathan now, with a palm that looked like it had wrestled the sun, calmly said, "I'm fine." Later, while he was applying burn cream like it was aftershave, Sherry came in clearly shaken. She thought she might get him fired. Nathan reassured her that nothing like that was going to happen, and told her she didn't even need to apologize. So, trying to make it up to him, Sherry asked him out to lunch. Nathan refused at first, probably because his idea of a date was sitting in silence and hoping no one noticed him breathing. But after a second thought, he agreed at lunch. Sherry offered him a bite of some cake that looked like it belonged in a Food Network finale. Nathan politely refused. "What do you mean you can't eat it?" Sherry asked with some hesitation. Nathan said, "I have a condition. I don't feel pain." He explained that if his tongue got caught between his teeth while chewing something hard, he might actually bite it off and never know, because he wouldn't feel a thing. His entire diet consisted of liquids to avoid that risk. Let that sink in. This man's arch nemesis was croutons. Sherry tried to lighten the mood by superpower, but Nathan explained it wasn't heroic at all. People born with this condition usually don't live past 25 because they could suffer a serious injury without realizing it and then die. He pointed at his hand. "That hot coffee spilled on me and I didn't even feel it." Despite all this grim talk, Sherry handed him the cake and said, "What's the point of living in so much fear?" And for the first time ever, Nathan tasted cake like it was the forbidden fruit. His face lit up like a kid realizing Wi-Fi came back on. Before they parted ways, Sherry invited him to meet again that night. Nathan, now back home and playing an online video game with his friends, said, "Man, I'm not going. I'm not that interesting, even I get bored of me, bro." Roasted himself harder than anyone else could respect. His friend replied, "Stop being scared for no reason and go meet the girl. How long have you been talking about her already?" So Nathan did. He met Sherry at a bar that night. Everything was going fine until someone shouted, "Novocaine!" It was a guy from Nathan's school. He walked up to Nathan and said, "You're still alive. I thought you'd be dead by now." Then he started laughing like he delivered the joke of the century. News flash, dude. Being a school bully at 30 still makes you the human equivalent of a wet sock. Nathan later told Sherry how kids at school used to beat him up having a condition that made him unable to feel pain. That guy, yeah. He was one of the main culprits. Suddenly, Nathan's watch alarm went off. It was time to pee seriously, because if his bladder burst, he wouldn't know. That's right. This guy needed a smart watch to tell him when to pee. Most people get texts from Uber Eats. Nathan gets bladder alert. Go now. When Nathan returned from the bathroom, he saw Sherry laughing with the same guy. He stood there stunned. Sherry tried to ease the tension by saying, "Let's forget the past and take a shot each." Nathan went along, but as soon as the guy drank his, he started coughing and losing it, like he'd swallowed a volcano. Turns out Sherry had slipped hot chili sauce into his drink. Instead of alcohol, Nathan felt nothing. Of course, dude could probably drink lava and say needs salt, but the bully. He looked like he was trying to sneeze fire. After that wild bar stunt, the two of them ended up at Nathan's place, where Sherry noticed a tattoo on his arm. But turns out that tattoo wasn't just on his arm. It was all over his body, and the crazy part, Nathan had inked the entire thing himself. Yeah, because nothing screams, "I'm totally stable." Like tattooing your own body like a human doodle pad. That night, the two of them grew very close. The next morning, Nathan woke up beaming with happiness. He even chewed his food with a smile on his face. Thinking about Sherry bro was out here, chewing toast like it was a love letter. When he got to the bank and walked over to Sherry to talk to her, out of nowhere, 3 men in shiny uniforms stormed into the bank. At first, everyone thought it was some kind of prank, but then one of them whipped out a gun and fired into the ceiling. That's when the room turned into a pancake festival. Everyone dropped to the floor. The leader of the crew woke the manager and barked at him to open the safe. But the manager, trying to be the hero, said, "Look, the alarm's already been triggered. The police will be here in 3 minutes. Give up and run." This man really thought he was in a furious movie that angered the thief so much that he beat the manager to a pulp, nearly killed him in the scuffle. The thief's fake beard slipped off, exposing his face. Now panicking, the thief straight up shot the manager dead. Then he grabbed Nathan, the assistant manager, and dragged him to the safe. Nathan froze as he saw the dead manager lying on the floor. The thief, trying to intimidate him, punched Nathan repeatedly in the stomach, but nothing happened. No screams, no winces, no flinching. Nathan was just standing there like, "Bro, is that all you got?" My feelings hurt when more. Netflix asks if I'm still watching. Sherry couldn't watch anymore. She stepped in trying to protect him, but the leader grabbed her and held the gun to her ear. Seeing this, Nathan quickly gave up the code to the safe. Once they had the code, the thief bashed Nathan on the head with the butt of the gun and knocked him out cold. They stuffed the cash into bags, but the police arrived just in time, cornered the robbers, took Sherry hostage, and pointed guns at the cops, forcing them to drop their weapons. The leader was completely unhinged, firing at officers whenever he got the chance. Meanwhile, Nathan regained consciousness and, realizing Sherry was in danger, bolted outside. He found an injured police officer and tied a belt around his leg to stop the bleeding. Then he grabbed the officer's gun and took off in a patrol car to chase the criminals. As the robbers noticed a cop car tailing them, they started spraying bullets everywhere. But Nathan didn't back down. Dude really turned into a Walmart John Wick with zero training and a dress shirt still stained with coffee. Eventually, the robbers tried to fool him by splitting up into different vehicles. Nathan made a quick calculation and decided to follow one of them. The chase led him down a narrow street where he finally got the upper hand and cornered a thug named Ben. Nathan pointed his gun and demanded, "Where's the girl? I don't care about the money. Just tell me where she is and I'll leave." But Ben looked at Nathan like he was a joke because, yeah, who's gonna be scared of a banker with a crooked tie and no pain reflex? Ben tried to jump Nathan, and the gun fell into the kitchen of a nearby restaurant. Both of them went after it. The goon got there first and started firing shots, but Nathan dodged like a legend. Then Nathan picked up a hot pan and whacked the gun right into a vat of boiling oil. They kept fighting with Ben beating Nathan senseless, but every time Nathan got back up. Nathan out here responding like it's Call of Duty with cheat codes before Ben could land the final blow. Nathan yanked the gun from the oil, yes, the boiling oil, and blasted Ben's skull clean off. He stood there horrified at what he'd done, but this wasn't the time to cry. Sherry was still out there. He took Ben's phone and snapped a picture of the tattoo on Ben's arm. Then, hopping into Ben's car, he sent the photo to his online gaming buddy Roscoe, asking him to track down who inked the tattoo. Roscoe replied reminding him, "Dude, We just play Fortnite together. We've never even met in real life. Translation: I'm your ride or die. Unless it involves literally anything serious. But after some pleading from Nathan, Roscoe finally agreed to help. Meanwhile, the cops were convinced that Nathan was somehow involved in the heist. After all, he bolted with the thieves the moment he got the chance. Yeah, real subtle. Nathan might as well have worn a shirt that said, "I'm with the robbers." On the flip side, Nathan reached Earl's hardware store, looking like he'd wrestled a lawnmower and lost. Seeing his wrecked condition, Earl suggested calling an ambulance. Nathan, the budget superhero that he was, said he didn't have time for that. Instead, he grabbed a cutter, made a big incision, and calmly pulled the bullet out with his own hand, like he was plucking a splinter. Because clearly, who needs doctors? When you got the medical expertise of a YouTube video, DIY. Earl was just standing there like, who the heck is this guy then? To top off the madness, Nathan sealed the wound with fabric like it was an arts and crafts project. That's right, super glue surgery. Because nothing says I've made good life choices like gluing your own meat shut. He handed Earl a bundle of the stolen money and told him to pay off his debts. Because nothing cleans dirty money like a good deed and a bad conscience. Just as he left, Nathan got a text from Roscoe with the address of the tattoo shop. He took off in that direction like a man on a mission. Meanwhile, the police had found Ben's dead body, and the chef at the restaurant spilled the beans about Nathan's involvement. Now the cops were convinced their so-called hero was actually a criminal mastermind. Yeah, if mastermind means bumbling through shootouts, getting hung upside down, and doing surgery with hardware store glue. Still, the lead inspector decided to try calling Nathan's phone. Surprisingly, Nathan picked up. This shocked the police. If he was a criminal, why on earth hadn't he turned off his phone? Nathan tried to convince them, saying he didn't care about the money. He just wanted to save Sherry from those thugs because she gave meaning to his otherwise dull life. Oh, how romantic. Risking your life for a woman who treated your heart like a pinata. Full of vault codes. But while he was talking, the police traced his location smooth. Back at the hideout, the remaining two thieves were starting to worry about Ben Andre. Ben's brother was especially concerned something had gone wrong. Simon, on the other hand, was sure Ben would walk in any minute. You both shut up, Sherry snapped, clearly annoyed, and bam. That's when we learned she was in on it the whole time. Turns out, she was part of the robbery crew from the beginning. She was furious at Simon though. He had promised no one would get hurt, but then went and killed the head manager. Like it was nothing. Simon barked back, saying that wasn't part of the plan, and that if she'd done her job right, they could have gotten the code from Nathan easily. So yeah, Cherry only got close to Nathan to get the vault code. Guess love really is blind, especially when it's just a cover for grand larceny. Meanwhile, Nathan arrived at the tattoo shop. The artist there looked like he bench pressed motorcycles for fun. Nathan asked him to tattoo Ben's name on an open spot on his chest. The tattoo guy immediately got suspicious. Ben didn't seem like this guy's homie. He picked up a knife. Luckily, Nathan already had his gun drawn. That's when the tattoo guy's wife came out of nowhere. Like a WWE tag team partner, smashed the gun away with a rod and chaos broke loose. Nathan and the tattoo Hulk started brawling. Like it was a Street Fighter match. Nathan's punches had zero effect. Like seriously, this guy could have punched a brick wall and gotten more feedback, but then Nathan tapped into his ultra pain tolerance powers and rammed glass shards into the guy's eyes. Yikes, he threatened to kill him unless he coughed up Ben's full name and address. After some intimidation and blood, Nathan got the info, and because writing things down is too mainstream, he had the address tattooed on his palm. Because nothing says genius like branding yourself with a Google Maps pin. Back at the hideout, Andre was itching to check on Ben. He wanted to visit his brother's place. Meanwhile, Nathan had already entered and the house and was poking around like an amateur detective, hoping to find a clue. Of course, the house was booby-trapped, like a Home Alone villain's dream. An arrow even pierced through his leg. But did Nathan scream? Nope, because apparently, this guy runs on spite and painkillers. Made of pure adrenaline, he limped on, eventually finding a uniform from a local car repair shop, probably where Ben had worked. He was about to head there when bam, he stepped into a noose and was suddenly dangling upside down like a discount Batman, hanging from the ceiling like a chandelier. Nathan called Roscoe and begged for help. Roscoe, he flat out refused. Honestly, can you blame him? The man asked a gamer to become his field agent. Next, he'll be calling Domino's for backup. But then Nathan started saying that he never really had any friends his entire life for Roscoe. It was probably just some random online buddy he plays video games with. But for Nathan, Roscoe was his only friend. Hearing this emotional outburst, Roscoe finally agreed to help him out. Let's be honest though, it's not every day you find someone willing to get beat up just because their Call of Duty is crying about friendship. Well, soon Ben's brother Andre entered the house. The moment he stepped inside, he realized someone had been there. Sure enough, he looked up and saw Nathan doing his best Pinata impression, hanging upside down in the middle of the hallway. The second Nathan saw him, he started putting on a performance. Brother, please let me go. I came to the wrong house. I'm a thief, just made a little mistake. But Andre noticed the tattooed address on his hand and instantly realized Nathan was full of it. Then Andre got a call from Simon, who informed him that Ben had been brutally murdered by a man in a suit and boots. Andre put 2 and 2 together and realized this was the guy responsible, and he wanted to make Nathan suffer before killing him. Nathan had to fake the pain. Come on, brother. Don't do this. Yes, brother. That hurts. Meanwhile, his acting was so bad, even a soap opera villain would have been like, dial it down, man. But before Andre could finish him off, Roscoe showed up from behind and knocked him out cold. Just in time. This was the same Roscoe who claimed on the phone that he was a strong 6'4" man with long braided hair. Nathan looked up and was stunned to see a short, chubby, bald guy in front of him. Bro looked less like Dwayne Johnson and more like a melted marshmallow in sweatpants. Before they could make a clean getaway, Andre woke up and the brawl resumed. Andre was becoming a burden for both of them, but Nathan, through some miracle, managed to shove the same arrow that had gone through his own straight through Andre's head. That's either heroic or insane or both. Afterwards, Roscoe patched up Nathan's wounds and tried to convince him to surrender to the police. But Nathan refused, saying if he turned himself in, he'd be stuck in interrogation. And if anything happened to Sherry during that time, he'd never forgive himself. Meanwhile, the police had already tracked Nathan's location outside. Suddenly, they spotted someone escaping on a scooter. They quickly caught him, but it wasn't Nathan. It was Roscoe dressed in Nathan's clothes, flailing and yelling at the top of his lungs. Don't kill me, sir. I'll testify against him if you need a plus for loyalty. For execution, bro. Looked like a scared penguin caught shoplifting. Meanwhile, Nathan had made it outside the garage. Inside, Simon and Cherry were getting ready to escape. But now, Cherry didn't want to go anywhere with Simon. She said it was fine when it was just a robbery. But Simon had turned into a full-blown psycho who killed people for fun, and she wanted no part of it. Nathan then walked in with a gun, pointed at Simon and told him to let Sherry go. Simon recognized him. You're that assistant bank manager who's been following us since day one. For what, this girl? She's my sister. You've been driving me insane. Then Sherry spoke up, revealing that yes, everything had been planned from the beginning, but the moment she and Nathan had shared meant something to her too. Still, the betrayal left Nathan completely shattered. Simon saw his chance, grabbed the gun from Nathan and knocked him unconscious. He dragged Nathan under a car, planning to literally crush him with the weight of the vehicle. Just as Simon was about to go full monster truck mode, Sherry jumped in, begging him to stop. Take the money and just go. I don't want anything, just let him live. But Simon didn't care. He put a gun to her head. Before he could do anything though, the police shot him from behind, finally ending his rampage. They cuffed Sherry and arrested her too. Nathan, bruised and broken, was placed on a stretcher and loaded into an ambulance, his life barely hanging on, but somehow still intact. The man survived betrayal, arrows, beatings, and emotional speeches. Someone get this dude a therapist and maybe a hug. But then out of nowhere, Simon started firing volley at the police officers. He was on a full-blown rampage, taking out anyone who got in his way. He even shot the ambulance driver just to hijack the vehicle. Apparently Simon watched one Fast Furious movie and thought he was Vin Diesel with trauma. But what he didn't realize was that Nathan was also inside the ambulance. Meanwhile, Sherry went inside to get the keys to a police car. Nathan. That's when Detective Mincy pulled a gun on her and told her to come with him. Roscoe, our heroic sidekick, was sitting quietly in the same car in the back seat. Because of course, Roscoe was there like a silent potato in a tracksuit. Sherry told them she had an idea where her brother might be heading. Meanwhile, Simon was struggling to drive the ambulance because he had a bullet lodged in his stomach. Nathan, still strapped to a stretcher in the back, could hear Simon groaning in pain and realized something was seriously wrong. And to make it worse, Nathan's hands were handcuffed to the stretcher. At a sharp turn, he fell off, which made Simon notice he wasn't alone. Simon, of course, had only one thought in mind. Time to make it personal, Simon really said. Let's play doctor, but forgot the license part. Simon started reaching for his gun while Nathan, in full survival mode, grabbed a fire extinguisher. Using it, he dislocated his thumb. Yes, on purpose. And managed to slip out of the cuffs. That's not bravery, that's I watched too many action movies energy. Simon opened fire on the stretcher, but Nathan had already freed himself. Simon, still trying to drive, dropped his gun, which Nathan quickly picked up. But Simon wasn't worried. He knew Nathan was too good a person to shoot. Let's be real, Nathan couldn't hurt a fly unless it insulted his cooking. Meanwhile, Sherry revealed their escape plan involved a boat, so her brother must have been heading there. In the ambulance, Nathan found a defibrillator, strapped it on, and suddenly jolted Simon with it while covering his own mouth. The electric shock caused Simon to lose control. Flipping the ambulance furious, Simon jumped out and started beating the life out of Nathan. And of course, Nathan, human punching bag turned semi-hero, was just lying there like a broken IKEA shelf. Just in time, Sherry arrived in the police car. Detective Mincy, already shot, handed her his gun and said, even though he's your brother, don't spare that monster. Sherry then told Roscoe to rush Mincy to the hospital. Roscoe finally had something to do besides being background decoration. Simon had completely destroyed Nathan, who by now couldn't even stand up still. Before Simon could finish him off, Sherry shot him in the chest from behind. Wounded, Simon fled, but not before pouncing on Sherry, wrestling the gun away and beating his own sister. Congratulations, Simon. You're officially the worst family reunion guest in history. Even though Nathan couldn't feel his own pain anymore, watching Sherry get hurt lit a fire in him. He crawled to a medical bag, injected adrenaline straight into his leg, and powered back up like a broken superhero. Our boy just unlocked discount Wolverine mode. Just as Simon was about to kill Sherry, Nathan showed up from behind and finished him off. But now his body couldn't take any more. He collapsed slowly into Sherry's arms. Even in these fading moments, Nathan confessed his love for her. Sherry tearfully apologized for everything. When he finally opened his eyes, he was in a hospital room. Roscoe told him he'd had a heart attack, brain hemorrhage, blood loss, third-degree burns, and like 20 broken bones. Basically, if pain was a subscription service, Nathan had the premium plan. But the doctor said he'd make a full recovery. He just needed to rest. Detective Mincy came in, thrilled to see him alive, and told him that since he'd saved a police officer's life and everyone vouched for him, he was only sentenced to 6 months of house arrest, which was hilarious because Nathan couldn't even sit up, let alone try to escape, and Sherry, she only got 1 year in prison. The movie ended with Nathan celebrating Sherry's birthday, yep, in prison, because nothing says romance like cake behind bars. Soon she'd be free and they could finally be together. Hopefully without gunfire, criminals, or plot twists that involve getting electrocuted in a moving ambulance. And here the movie ends. Thank you for watching.